ocean for water in which the fish moves and lives and has its being. So really, it's the presence of God. The background is glory, is God's sustaining grace. So therefore, it either needs to give light, hence gold, or be an off-white, or give off heat. So that's why you get red vermilion sometimes in some of the Russian Novgorodian icons. So that doesn't give light, it sort of gives energy as heat, sort of divine heat as it were. Or you can go the other way, not so much with icons, but with wall paintings. You have the mystery of the blue-black background. So that's like sort of the depths of God. But either way, it's got to, in some way, give a sense of divine presence. So in this case, we're going to have an off-white. But you wanted this to be aesthetically pleasing rather than just sort of smother it with opaque white paint. You want some interest and depth to it. So basically, you want to build it up with layers. And it's actually quite difficult to cover large areas in a satisfying way. It's easy to do it with just a really opaque layer, but that's really boring. Or you can have it too messy, and that's distracting. So you want a combination of sort of a perfect imperfection. So there are no hard and fast rules how to do it, but let's start with the yellow and the white. So mix up a yellow and a white, make sure you've got enough there not to run out. Sometimes you can just finish with that. So start with yellow and white and then with yellow and white, but often you can do other things as well. So basically you're after a reflective surface with a bit of character. The one that I've done where I put glazes of green on, then yellow and white on top, and all sorts of things. So when you look closer, you can see all sorts of interesting things happening.
So will the halos sit on top?
Yeah, always, yeah. So that's why I'm not doing this. Halos are basically the last thing we'll do. Mix it up well. And so does anyone know what to do before you put the first layer on so it doesn't...
Put some water on.
Exactly. So what does the water do? How do you do that?
Fills the pores in the gesso.
Yeah. So this is really absorbent, isn't it? So if I try to put an even coat on, it's going to absorb so quickly, you'll get lots of overlaps and streaks. So just pure water, no air, will reduce the absorbency of it. So it gives this paint mix time to sort of spread out.
And do you have to let the water dry?
No. You put it on and almost immediately put your paint on. Just straight water.
Well, you put just a touch of egg in there, didn't you?
No, absolutely no egg at all. The reason being is it'll become slimy and you'll have lots of problems. So no egg.
It's not the same as doing a glaze, because
No.
the glaze has the...
Now, we're going to use a big brush and it'll suck up all of that and you don't want to run it halfway. So
that's squirrel, is it?
Yeah. Whenever you do large areas and you want to sort of wash, squirrel is actually always the best. Later on, we might decide to do a sort of dry brush crisscross hatching. So in which case, probably a sable is better than a squirrel, but for general washes. New bit of paper, you don't want to pick up any bits of black or anything. So let's get this on. So just put your water on.
So you're not bothered if it's dirty water?
It's better clean, but there we are, we're only out of time. So perfect imperfection.
I've written that in my notes so many times.
It's all right when Aidan does it. I tend to veer on the imperfection bit.
Yeah, it's got to be perfect imperfection, not an imperfect imperfection.
The two are very, very fine line between the two.
So what kind of gesso board is that, given that it's got a margin around it?
Yeah, it's called a kivitos. So traditionally, you would have a raised board. Just aesthetically, it looks better.
Yeah.
K-I-V-O-T.
K-I-V-O-T. It actually means ark. So the word for the Ark of the Covenant and the Ark of Noah is the same, kivot. All sorts of theological K-I-V-O-T. So it's actually hollowed out, it's not stuck on, it's hollowed out. So it's one bit of void hollowed out. Okay, so let's get this now. So basically we're going to puddle it, so fairly heavily laden, and just keep moving around in an irregular way. The tendency is keep going in the same direction, but move in different directions so that you get, you don't get a pattern. You don't want a pattern of this. So keep moving all over the place.
They're wrong at school.
You're not so much painting it on, you're just using the brush to transfer pigment. So it's just the tip, and you're using osmosis to transfer it. So I'm deliberately moving all over the place. Make sure you do that. You can see how helpful the water is. If we didn't have the water, this would soak in straight away, and you'd have a lot of patchiness, which would be a bit distracting. So I'm looking at the reflection to make sure I don't miss anything, because of course, if I miss anything, it will just appear as a white. When you put water on, you see how it went an ivory colour? Which is really pleasant, but of course that will go back to pure white when it dries. So that's why you've got to not depend on what your eyes see, but on the reflection to tell you if you've covered everything. You see what I'm getting? If I just look down, I could miss something and not realise, and it would be too late then.
And is it about 50%? What is it, about 20% wash or something?
A water green, the paint to water green.
No, I mean, how thick is that wash?
Yeah, well, probably about 90% water, 10% your egg mix. It's better, if in doubt, to be too watery, because you can always add another layer, but you can't take the paint off if you've made it too opaque. Oops. So that's it. And that, got bottom. It's just a bit of experience to know how much to put on your brush, so you're not haven't got so much on you can't control it.
There's no egg in the paint pigment?
Oh yeah.
Oh, there is, okay, that's what I thought you put it in.
Yes.
Just
So as always, pack
You
it
did
full
the
of
pure
pigment.
water first, and then this.
Yeah, you must, before you put the water in, you must have your paint ready.
Yeah.
Because if you put the water on, then it takes half an hour to make the paint. Which is silly.
Should the water still be kind of wet when you're putting on?
Yeah, it's best, yeah. Doesn't have to be, but it's best, yeah. So you've got everything ready to go, put your water on, it's doing.
Wow, it's gorgeous.
So it might be that that's sufficient. You know, you might decide, okay, that's fine, I won't do any more. But yeah, I don't know, you might have too much yellow in, too yellow, so you put another glaze, put a bit more water, a bit more white on it, and play. But for our demonstration, we'll pretend that that's good enough. When it dries, it will become less yellow, become more white. But I think we're okay there. So
I just wanted to ask you, the glaze over the head that we were meant to do, was it last night or